It's time to play coaching matchmaker on this week's episode of Box Score Breakdown. A lot of coaches looking for work, a lot of teams in need. Let's break it down. And we'll talk about the divisional round of the NFL playoffs and who I like to win those games. As always, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content. Let's go. We can rule the Patriots out of this list. They already hired Jerod Mayo as Bill Belichick's successor. Interesting internal replacement. Not sure what to make of it. Are they just rinse and repeating the Patriot way, or will Jerod Mayo bring his own flavor to Beantown? Now, as I'm recording this, we don't know if the Eagles are going to make a move, or if the Steelers are going to make a move, or even if the Cowboys are going to make a move. But let's assume the Eagles, of the three most likely to move on from their coach, Nick Sirianni, was a disaster. And the Eagles just imploded. A lot of finger pointing, a lot of weird games where they didn't show up and got bullied. Sirianni just looks lost without his offensive coordinator, Shane Steichen, who's with the Indianapolis Colts. So with that in mind, I think Mike Vrabel is the perfect fit for Philadelphia. He brings that toughness, commands respect, and which offensive play caller wouldn't want to join him for a nice ride with Philadelphia's front office? Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, they invest directly in the team, and the Eagles will be back and running in no time. Carolina Panthers, this one's a tough one. Dave Tepper is a little bit of a loose cannon as an owner. He'll throw a drink on you. He'll fire you. I think the coach that makes the most sense is Dave Canales, the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's in the division. He knows the conference. And I think what he did with Baker Mayfield, the success he had previously with the Seattle Seahawks, shows that he can work with quarterbacks. You have investment in Bryce Young. You want to see that through. An offensive-minded coach makes sense, especially when a lot of the big names don't want to get into business with Tepper. The Atlanta Falcons, I think it makes sense for them to hire Bill Belichick. And on paper, it seems a little weird, but this is why I think it works. Bill Belichick can come in there and steamroll the current front office. He can be the de facto GM. He can hire somebody else he's comfortable with, bring in one of his old Patriots buddies. It's set up for Bill Belichick to run the franchise and run the football operation the way he wants to do it. On top of that, Arthur Blank and Rich McKay are leading the search, and Rich McKay is an OG NFL name. He's been involved in the league for decades, and I think something about that trusted football brand, football name of the McKays and Bill Belichick fits and seems like it's a marriage that makes sense. If it was a Dave Tepper or a Spanos or some other family that just doesn't sing like a real football family, I don't know if Bill Belichick can trust himself working with them. But McKay's had success in the front office. Arthur Blank wants a winner. He's willing to cut a check. Bill Belichick can run it the Patriots way, but for Atlanta, and I think they get this thing done. It's going to look weird, but I think it's going to work. The Chargers have already interviewed Jim Harbaugh, and I think they're going to do what it takes to keep him in Los Angeles. Jim Harbaugh has Justin Herbert on his side. He can rebuild the trenches up front and play bully ball. A lot for him to like on that roster, and I think Jim Harbaugh is made for the LA market. He's going to compete with the other teams in the division, get after Pat Mahomes, beat up those Raiders, and of course, Sean Payton and him, no love lost there. I like Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers. Makes a ton of sense to revitalize that fan base who've soured on them since they've left San Diego. The Raiders feel pretty simple here. It wouldn't surprise me if they went outside the box, but it seems most logical that Antonio Pierce stays on after going 4-4 as the interim head coach. I think the Raiders don't want to rock the boat too much. They have a happy locker room. They're smoking cigars. Antonio Pierce has a lot to prove as an NFL coach. What is he going to do in the draft? What GM will he work with? Will they keep their interim GM as well? But I think it just makes too much sense for the Raiders. They've had a lot of rough coaching searches over the last 5 to 10 years, and this one seems like a pretty Raider pick, easy for them to do. The Commanders in Washington, D.C. just hired Adam Peters as their general manager. My pick for head coach is Texans offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick. Now, this is the recency bias. You played some good games in the playoffs, put up a lot of passing yards. You're developing a young quarterback, and that's a recipe for success for what Washington needs. Not to mention Slowick has that 49ers connection with Adam Peters. And what the DC team needs is offensive stability after being with Ron Rivera for so long. It makes sense for the Commanders to go offensive-minded here. Ben Johnson is another name that I would look out for, but I got that 49ers connection and Bobby Slowick getting the nod. And lastly, the Tennessee Titans, kind of a wild card here. I'm not sure where they're going to go. Ben Johnson could be a name, but I think Ben Johnson's going to stick around and wait one more season for a better opportunity. So I'm going to go with Mike McDonald, defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. He seems like a clone of Mike Vrabel, so a little bit of an odd pairing there with Rand Carthon as general manager. I just don't know what the Titans do. To me, they're the wild card of them all. Maybe they go with a name we haven't heard of. Mike Tomlin could still bounce from Pittsburgh. Mike McCarthy could still leave from Dallas, so we might have to do a part 2. Stay tuned. Moving on to the divisional games on Saturday, we have the Houston Texans at the Baltimore Ravens. And I like the Ravens in this spot. Now, Lamar Jackson hasn't been perfect in the postseason. He's got some demons to exercise. But I think that defense is too much for C.J. Stroud. Props to him for getting this far. But I think the Ravens are the bully. They're the better, deeper team. And they are, of course, better coached. DeMeco Ryans has done a hell of a job in year one. Getting this far is an amazing job. But the Ravens are going to outlast the Texans and win comfortably. In the night game, Jordan Love. I wasn't familiar with your game. Props to you, my man. The Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love go into Levi's Stadium to face Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers. And it's a tough one. I think the Niners are going to win this game. Probably not a blowout. I got to give respect to the Packers, the way they put it on the Cowboys. They're definitely coming in the right time, playing good, solid football. And Jordan Love might be the better quarterback between him and Brock Purdy. I'm curious to see which quarterback makes fewer mistakes, gets the ball out on time, and gets the ball into their playmakers' hands. I think Purdy being at home and having the better defense gives the Niners the edge. Will it be double-digit points? I'm not sure. I think the Packers keep it close. Sunday, we have Baker Mayfield at Detroit against Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. I think Jared Goff and company get another victory. Great season for Baker Mayfield. No shame on his name getting this far. A great win over the Eagles in the wild card. But I think time runs up on Tampa Bay, and I like Detroit to continue that raucous home environment and get another playoff dub. And the game of the weekend closes us out on Sunday. Kansas City travels to snowy Buffalo. Maybe the snow melts, who knows? The Bills seem to be it's their year. They seem to have all the ingredients. They're playing better football. They're winning great games. Got the momentum, but something about Kansas City, I can't go away from them and not take them in this game. They have the playoff pedigree, and as Ric Flair says, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And so for me to pick Buffalo, I got to see that they can do it. And so far, they haven't shown that they can win these postseason games. So give me the Chiefs, and that's who I like in the divisional round. If you think otherwise, let me know in the comments section. I want to hear where I'm wrong. Let's wrap it up with some honorable mentions. Jason Kelce reportedly tells teammates that he's retiring. Props to the Philadelphia Eagles center, all-pro, Super Bowl champion, an epic career. Got a great podcast to fall back on. Not sure what he's going to do next, but we're all going to stay tuned and enjoy it. So props to you, 62. Another retirement, Nick Saban, the GOAT of college football, 6 national championships for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Calls it a day, retires. He's replaced by Kellen DeBoer. And it's surprising to some, but Saban is up there in age, so good for him to relax, enjoy his life, whether he does TV or more Affleck commercials. We're going to have to stay tuned. But Nick Saban, great job, great career. And curious to see how the college football landscape changes with Alabama not as the perceived top dog. Mike Tomlin's walk-off in his press conference, loved that. That was pretty hilarious. Asked about his contract or his next move with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he just walked off, and that was pretty hilarious. You know, Mike Tomlin's done a lot for the Steelers. They're a little bit underwhelming on offense. They have not figured out a replacement for Big Ben Roethlisberger. Defense is always solid. They're a gritty, physical team. They definitely need to make changes and figure things out, but I don't think getting rid of Tomlin is the answer. He's going to be successful no matter where he coaches. And lastly, I think the player of the wild card weekend, I got to give it to Jordan Love. 3 touchdown passes against the Dallas Cowboys, and really just showed something that, you know, it takes a while for a quarterback to really find his rhythm. His first year as a starter, people were calling for him to get tossed aside midway through the year, but credit to him. Really athletic in the pocket, keeping his eyes downfield, and he hurt the Dallas Cowboys majorly. All right, everyone, enjoy the football. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more episodes. Peace.